Hey family, thank you for tuning in to Our Roots podcast with Joseph Baba Ifa. We're only the strongest roots see the light, brought to you by Botanica Candles and more. And if you haven't had the opportunity, please like this video and tap on that subscribe button. VIP member highlights before we get started on this amazing episode, and we want to go ahead and mention Miss 𝗃𝗏𝗃 from Brooklyn. She watches us, she joined our membership program, and she's excited with the material as she's beginning her Orisha journey. We want to say thank you so much, 𝗃𝗏𝗃, for watching, and it's greatly appreciated. Guys, really exciting episode today. We're going to be sitting with somebody who has dedicated their life to the practice of Spiritism. A gentleman, an author, medium to say the least, Mr. Freddie Florencio Guevara.
Hi, how are you?
Freddie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored to be here. And yeah, it's been a very long journey for me, over 50 years.
Wow, 50.
More than that.
Good Lord. And I tell you, we the honor is all ours. Like before we started recording, I said, I feel like I know you already because my wife has been talking about you since we were dating.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, in all the right ways, right? She mentioned all the wonderful experiences she was able to share with you at the misas that you were actually heading and directing, and this was even before she was crowned, so you left quite an impression.
I'm happy I did, and in this, you know, everybody knows something and nobody knows jack.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
You know, but I've always, in the very beginning, I was dragged into this.
Okay.
Because my mother was the one who was supposed to be sitting here.
Wow.
But she never wanted to work it because she was a little bit vain.
Okay.
You know, like, what did the neighbors say? What would all that, you know?
Claro.
But her entire family always was on her to do it. As a result, my mother was all her life sick and bedridden. And she had to receive extreme unction 5 times before getting the last one.
Wow.
And everything, my cuadro and hers, bam, on my shoulders.
Wow.
Y yo no quería esto. I hated this with a purple passion.
Wow.
Yet, when I was 5 years old, well, before I was 4, I wasn't yet reading yet, and I would take a record that my mother had, that it had that Santo Álvaro song, the original.
Oh, the old ones.
Yeah, that one,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was not the first or second, it was the third one on the groove of the LPs.
Wow.
And I would turn it on, dance to it, turn it off, and my mother would sit there with an open mouth, and then she would ask me about what I did. And I said, I didn't do any of that. And, you know, I never remember ever having done that, but she said I did.
So from a young age, you were already feeling that influence, and I guess preparing yourself para la montadera.
Yep. I remember seeing my principal deity, my principal Ángel Guardián.
Yeah.
My spiritual Ángel Guardián. And I remember him. I was born in the South Bronx, in the tenements, in the good old days.
Nice.
More my ghetto in me. And I remember that I saw him coming down to where I was in the carriage, because I was only about a year, not even that. I wasn't a year old yet. And I was looking up as he came down. And as he came down, that's what I remember. But I remember seeing him at that young age.
That's incredible. You know, and when you talk about mediums such as yourself, you know, Boroye has even, or Erica has even told me experiences where she remembers seeing things even at 3 years old.
Yes.
You know, I think I was just beginning to understand who I was even at that age. But for you guys to be able to rationalize, like, wow, that's something divine.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's something else that's really enlightening, you know.
It's very much divine, but at the same time, uh, the the circle of people within the spiritual world need to start a movement of how to have babysitters, meaning when people are very much at a young age and they show definite signs that their spirits are not going to wait,
Yeah.
that's when there should be a bunch of people around that person ready to step in and help orientate the family more than anything else.
Claro.
Because my family was freaked out.
Yeah.
I've always been the black sheep for them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that's fine. They still all come back when they need me for something.
The first one's there for the limpieza, right? You know?
Yeah.
And it's incredible you mentioned that because, you know, we have a young daughter named Allie, and we actually did an episode on the channel talking about psychic children, medium children. And, you know, one thing she mentioned in the video was how grateful she was of how obviously understanding we are, you know, being that we're in this as well. But, you know, you got to think there's a bunch of kids out there that are experiencing all these things, and it can be very lonely if you can't talk to nobody.
I am a retired teacher, an elementary school teacher.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And 36 years of it, I was in the rooms.
Wow.
And trust me, more than a bunch of times, I've had psychic children in my classroom who sometimes were disturbed by those spirits.
Yeah.
And I had to take more than one of them to a little cornery, 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗲.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Plus, it was easier to deal with the Santero children.
Yeah, of course, because it was more understanding.
It was more obvious, they were more understanding, and plus, the rules of the school came down, and they always sent me those children.
Claro.
My superiors knew.
And you were teaching in the Bronx, or you were teaching here in Florida?
I was teaching in Florida, in Puerto Rico, all over Puerto Rico.
Wow. Yeah. And that's where your family's originally from?
Yeah, Isabela.
Okay.
And my wife is from 𝗲𝗲𝗶𝗲.
Nice. And at what point does your family gravitate to New York? Was mom born in Puerto Rico, or was she born in New York as well?
No, Mom was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
But she was way ahead of her time. And she told my father while she was about 5-6 months pregnant, she says, we're going to New York because this one is going to be born in New York.
Va a ser americano. He's going to be New Yorican.
Oh, yeah, but she had another big thing that she insisted on both children, my sister and I, were raised strictly in Spanish.
Okay.
And she said when he gets into school,
he'll learn English.
Let him break his head and learn English.
Yeah.
And about the third week of school, she says, you stop crying now?
Yeah.
Good. Now wipe your tears and start listening.
No, lots of respect for her, because to have that much pride and maintain that tradition, because you see a lot of kids, it gets lost in context now. You know, you just met my daughter, and it's the same thing I'm going to do with her, you know. No puede perder el idioma.
I know. And it's hard. Right now, with my 2 books, I face the opposite.
Yeah.
There are so many Spanish-speaking, not just Puerto Rican, Cubans, or
todo el mundo.
Yeah, that this generation coming up isn't that savvy about Spanish, or they don't speak it at all.
Yeah.
I have a grandson that we're raising. He's 13.
Ni papa.
Ni papa. He understands it.
Yeah, that's big.
Especially when it has to do about grades and school
and
food.
Yeah.
Right away, I'm here. You know.
Claro.
But I wrote Mesa Blanca, the White Altar, specifically for that English-speaking audience and that very large Anglo-Saxon and Oriental and Jewish audience that is out there.
Correct.
You know? And I wanted them to understand a whole lot of what they would be getting into, and that they can then not be the outsider of the family.
Yeah.
That they could understand what was going on, what was being done, and not be a total stranger.
I think the beautiful thing about New York too, because all the demographics and ethnicities you just mentioned, you see a high, volume of them in New York, and when we're up there and we're interacting with each other, it's incredible when you see all of the different walks of life that make it here, whether it's Spiritismo, Santeria, Ifa, Palo, etc. The other day, I always bring up this case. I actually consulted a Chinese woman from New Jersey. She's been crowned Shango for a couple of years. I've met 𝘃𝗶𝗃𝗍𝗄. I've met China. It's beautiful,
Yes. And, the Chinese, and lately in Japan and in Singapore, they have their misas like we do.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if you've seen the Japanese drummers. They're killing it, Just they get a hold of something that they enjoy, and they take it to a whole nother level.
In Shanghai, about a year ago, they were celebrating in un tambor, Algun.
Wow, yeah, I saw that video.
You saw that with the lady?
When she was killing it, yeah. It's very, some people, felt however they felt about it, but I think that's to me, it's very reassuring, because it lets me know that these things are not going to die.
And the mediumship, the way we know it in our Caribbean type culture, is the way that the Chinese do it, especially in Singapore, in the lower part of China.
Yeah. That's incredible to know, especially being that, how many people have a comisión china? How many people have spirits that have to do with that? Ifa speaks of that.
I do.
𝗃𝗏𝗏 interacted with all these people as well, so that's beautiful to get that confirmation. I'd like to go back to the beginning with you, because you came up in a time in New York where I think there was a Renaissance period going on with all of these different religions, but especially Spiritism.
Yes, and those blessed basements of New York.
Oh, man.
They were the temples, big temples, where there were mediums that used to come in shifts. You would have misas going on from 10 in the morning and finish up at 6 o'clock at night. But these mediums would come in, and their shift was on or off, and people would come in and leave and come in and go.
It was a revolving door.
Yeah. But huge. I'm talking about you getting 50, 60 people sitting down in those basements.
Good Lord. And, when we're talking about that kind of training, because that's stuff you can't even pay for nowadays, what effect did that have on you? How did that help you scale up and grow as a medium?
Well, since, they really encourage and push anyone who's sitting there, whether they're the mediums that are facing the audience or not, they want people who see anything to stand up and help.
Yeah.
And that gave me a little bit more push.
Because you started off in the audience.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. As far as straight spiritual work.
Yeah.
Okay. My real beginnings and my launching pad, as I call it, were the tarot cards.
Okay, so you started with the cartas.
Yep. And the runes.
Okay.
I do the runes a lot. I'm probably one of the few Puerto Ricans that does it.
No, that's beautiful. Now, with the cards and whatnot, because you mentioned when you first got in this, and unfortunately with Mom's passing untimely, who was really some of the people that really spurred you towards that? Where'd the motivation come from, and how'd you overcome, the resistance?
Well, I'm sure your audience will enjoy this one. My love life is the one that got me in. Because I was, at that time, I was 17.
Wow.
And I was seeing a lady who was twice my age.
Okay.
And she was a good medium. She was a real witch.
Oh.
And one day she took the Brisca cards, the Spanish cards.
Yeah.
And she threw them at me. And she goes, lémela. But she used to read them for me every once in a while. And I started just whatever came.
Claro.
And all of a sudden, the next night, her mother was brought over.
Oh, wow.
Who was another medium. And when those eagle eyes looked at me, I knew, I said, oh, they know something I don't know.
Yeah, now you're on the spot, yeah.
And there was also a point, because every path has a connection to the other one. Yeah. There is no such thing as Spiritismo only. There's no such thing as Palo only. Ifa only.
They're all connected.
At some point, there's a connection somewhere, because my spiritual life was directly impacted by La Caridad del Cobre.
Wow.
And Oshun in my life has been very instrumental.
Everybody gets emotional with her. I have her crowned, right? And, when it comes to Mama, everybody, is like, lo máximo,
Yep.
She has that effect on people.
Yes, and also, you all got to behave with her.
Oh, yeah, no.
There's
I don't,
mercy there.
No, my guardian angel, I don't even look at her. I say hello, I keep my head down, and I just walk out the door.
And you never ask her what you want.
No.
You present and suggest what she might want to do.
You're like a lawyer. It's like, this is the evidence. And then you leave it there.
Maya is Mama.
Oh, she's chilling. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and that's the one I was supposed to be crowned.
Oh, wow.
But in cuando me bajaron el ángel de la guarda, to give me the mano de rula,
Claro.
which I don't wear it because I've had about 10 of them and they've already burned. I said,
You're a walking spirit,
Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? They're all on top of my
on top of
rula.
Yeah.
I said, you keep it. You wear it better than me. So like at that moment, I was in New York. It was very, very those February cold nights.
Oh.
When that wind is coming up the Hudson.
Yeah, you're stiff.
Where, you just cannot even look up.
Yeah.
Well, I was leaving work late, and I was heading to the subway. And just as I was going down, something made me look up. And when I looked up, I see these two pairs of blue eyes, this pair of blue eyes. And he moves this way, I move, he moves, and I knew instinctively I was going to be mugged. So, but then something pushed me down the stairs. Now, I'm a 5'5", barely little midget.
Yes, sir.
And I was taking 3 and 4 at a time. And then it was in along 59th Street, and then that tunnel before you get to the train.
Yes, sir.
And I heard this roar of an ocean and roar and roar. And just when I got to where the cops were and the toll booth, and there were 2 or 3 cops there, I just heard, when the wave breaks on the beach.
Yeah.
I heard that, and then I heard a voice that said, a woman's voice said, let's see what you do with that now. And I was like, and the cops looked at me, but it was like they didn't see me.
Claro.
When I looked back, the guy was still by the steps, and when he was shaking his head, and when he turned, the lights hit the glint of the knife.
Oh, wow.
So I went home in front of my small little statue I had of La Virgen de la Caridad, and I literally on the ground on top of her. At that moment, my mother was having the exact same dream of what was going on with me in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
She called me, all hysterical, that she had dreamt this and that. And I said, oh, it's just, you probably ate too many hamburgers or something.
Oh.
I had to play it down because if I had told her, yeah, it's true, she'd be on the plane one second.
Oh, yeah, she'd be scared, yeah.
So I wrote it down, what had happened. And of course, the day after she got the letter, she was on the plane to New York.
Oh, God.
And she, of course, wanted to make sure I was not lying to her, that I was okay. And then she tells me, who is La Virgen de la Caridad del Cobre? Because not everybody in Puerto Rico knows of her.
Yeah, she's very popular in Cuba, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, well, she's a patron.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at that time, the Cuban situation and the political situation.
What year was this, Fred?
Oh,
a decade. Let's see if we can at least get there.
70.
Okay.
69, 70.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, it was just...
It was one of those Exodus periods. I remember around then, I forgot which one it was, but there were a lot of people leaving the island. And there was a big influx, even into New York, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's how, in my family, my parents wound up being strict devotees of La Virgen de la Caridad.
Wow.
Yeah. And they even nicknamed their car after her.
La Caridad. Yeah, tú sabes.
Yeah.
I ask you, Freddie, you know, especially with experiences like that and, you know, really life-saving ones, and you even showing symptoms even as a young man, you know, what was it like the first time you went into trance, if you could kind of describe that?
Well, for years, for at least 7 years, because nobody wanted to help me. In all of New York, nobody wanted to help me.
Any reason why? Did they ever say
Yeah.
why?
I found out now, way later, when one of my spirits came through and spoke to my wife and told her why it had taken me so long to get them exactly through. Envy.
There you go.
The thing is, this is one of my biggest topics that I always blow up on. If you are a medium in your own right, and if you have godchildren that are all coming up, you owe it to whatever put us here on earth to make the best out of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So what if they wind up knowing more than you, being better than you, doing things you couldn't do? Good. Why get in their way?
Yeah, that's not helping
Why
anybody.
make it difficult? Because in the long run, everybody's getting old.
Claro.
I used to take my ahados many times I've taken them and I told them and announced that there's a big, gigantic crisis with somebody and all that, and they don't know who it is, and I tell them I can't tell you. And they all come ready. And I go and get out of my chair and sit right in the middle.
Yeah.
And they'll look at me like, you? Yeah, I go to the bathroom just like you all do,
Yeah.
right? Right? Well, you know, I always say, you never know. It's like the funny story about the egotistical man walking in the desert. He saw the last oasis, took a drink, and then took in the water.
Yeah.
He had to turn around and drink the beer.
Yeah, you don't spit in the air, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I have babalaos, 3 of them that were my godchildren.
Wow, that's
And they're
beautiful.
babalaos now. So
Beautiful.
𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲 la bendición.
Wow.
I have one I have in Calabria, Italy,
Oh, wow.
and another one in the northeast of England, bordering on Scotland. Yeah, and he was recent when I crowned. Yeah.
No, that's incredible.
Ogo.
Wow. Over in the UK.
Yeah, he had been a blacksmith.
Really?
He has an anvil in his house.
Oh, wow.
No, he's
Legítimo.
he's good. He's good. Very
No,
good.
that's and I think, you know, it takes so much self-confidence and so much humility to have the viewpoint that you have, especially somebody who presumably at your stage has, you know, done much more than scratch the surface of your craft. You know, I think that's a big issue with our spirituality that you've identified, is that, you know, everybody's here for different things. You know, you might initiate somebody that initiates 1,000 people, but that never takes away from you were the beginning.
Yeah, because you can never neglect to know where your roots are, and
No.
everyone's going to want to know.
Yeah, where'd you come from?
How
What school?
did you get this way?
Yeah. And that's just prestige for your house and for your elders
Yeah.
and representing them well, you know.
But there's too much ego that has been unbridled. It hasn't been. There was a lot more discipline in the past,
There was a lot of respect.
but it was because my generation was very, very strict,
Yeah.
and the generation before me was stricter than that.
I think they realized how powerful and how precious it was, you know.
In fact, just to be a palero, you had to be 1 year visiting the palero's house.
Yeah, La Penitencia,
Wow.
I remember that.
And they were showing you and learning,
Yeah.
but they were also learning about you.
Yeah, they were walking you out. It was kind of like the mob. It's like, let's get
Yeah.
to know them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after a year, they would decide if they were going to scratch you or not.
Yeah.
And then another year went by before you even got a look at your pot.
Yeah. They used to walk you out before they let you be a
Well,
𝗲𝗲
I
and
would.
have it.
The one thing that I think, especially in Santeria, there needs to be a much tighter organization.
Yeah.
I was hoping for that in Miami when I lived in Miami with the 𝘃𝗵𝗵 church.
Okay.
But still, there's too many people doing what they want, where they want, who they want.
Yeah, everybody has their own libro. You know,
Yeah,
everybody's doing their own
I
book.
call them the 90-day wonders. They open up the book of Allan Kardec, and all of a sudden, they're the Pope.
Espiritista mayor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like, hello, it took me 7 years to just get my spirits through my head.
Just to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like when it actually happened after so many years of hard
It was
work?
like having a big high or a big getting stoned out of your mind.
Dale.
Yes, you don't want to come down off of it.
Wow.
I remember the first time was in 𝗃𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗃. And there was this little boy. He was Dominican. He could have been about 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
And the mother comes over to me and she taps my shoulder. Sir, when you can, tell your spirits to check my little boy, because since you came in, he told me that's the man that's going to help with my eyesight. And of course, my stomach hit the floor.
Yeah.
You know, I said, oh shit, what am I going to It's like, you know, everybody looked at me like everyone was expecting something. And
Yeah,
I
the
was
stage.
like, duh.
Yeah.
You know. And as the music and all that happened, in una, it just came.
Yeah.
It just came on, and then they would stop. And I remember slightly, because, you know, you go in and out.
Yeah.
Those trances. And I remember that I did put my hands on the little boy's eyes, and I picked him up and put him practically touching la caridad del cobre. And I told him, touch her, put it on your tongue, touch her, put them on your ears, and all the areas of the face.
Yeah, the orifices, basically,
Mhm.
yeah.
And the lady told me that. The spirit that was with me told her he will get gradually better. But don't worry about the knife because it's not coming.
Oh, thank God. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I guess they were, you know, deciding whether they were going to cut him or not with the surgery.
There was a problem with his sight.
And I would imagine, like, these stories, you have many. You know what I'm saying? You know, 50 years.
So many that I often forget, and then things start coming back, and I go, oh my God, I'm that old.
Well, look at, just look at the re-encounter with Erica. You know, I think she said the last time you guys interacted was like, what was it, 11, 12 years ago, even before she had 𝘃𝗿𝗃 done. So that's beautiful when you can have that kind of effect on your community and the people around you.
I try. The thing is, one has to remember there are certain paths that, due to their very nature, they provide an income to the practitioner.
Sure.
But the majority of these paths, ain't nobody making money off of this.
Yeah, nobody's getting becoming a
But
millionaire
they
off of
try.
this. Yeah.
They try. I was once in a very, very, very disturbing misa where I actually blew up and almost went to blows with the person.
We got that hot.
Misa. Yes, it did. Picture this. The misa was for this small little Salvadoran girl. They had just gotten off the boat. ¿Entiendes?
Yeah. They just got here, yeah.
So and everybody there knew. And the person who was giving the misa knew better than anybody because she's the one that organized it for her.
Claro.
So she knew these people didn't have, they had one hand in front, one in the other. And she tells the lady, but bald face, like nothing.
A la cara.
Yeah. She says, well, I have San Lázaro. I can give her San Lázaro. And I'm waiting for the bomb to fall. because I know this lady is all about money.
Uh-huh.
And she tells her, it'll only cost you somewhere around $14,000.
Wow.
That's when I lost it. I slammed my hand that I think even one of the candles went off. And I said, how the do you expect these people who barely can buy tomorrow's guacamole, how do you expect them to get $14,000? Even the corner ain't got that many men waiting for her.
Yes.
It's like, I told the lady, you know what? You just go get yourself a small sunglasses on. Make sure it's small. And you tell him your problem. You pray, and don't worry about it. And you don't have to buy nothing. And with that, I stormed out. The lady came after me. That was her mistake.
Yeah.
She came after me and pulled on my shoulder. You can't do that. And I turned around and I had where this Indian is, my fist right on her nose. And I says, I don't care if your husband's a cop. Because he was.
No, respect is respect.
But I guarantee you, when he hears the story, he'll set me free and put you into my place.
Yeah.
And I walked out.
I tell you, they get hot. I mean, I would imagine,
I had one in my house one time that turned into a veritable Dante's Inferno. Because one thing that you never do, when you are in a misa, and I'm a medium, what they call 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲.
Yeah.
I lift evil spirits.
Yeah.
I break witchcraft.
You're exercising them.
I always wanted to be a healer. Well, God said, no, you're going to be a warrior. So, duh. I have healed in the past, But when a person comes in, and you know how they play those drama games sometimes where they faint while they're at the altar? That's just to get
the theater.
Very few people.
Yeah.
When it's real, you know it.
Yeah, it's different.
Everybody can feel it.
Yeah.
You never take that person out of that circle, even if they died and had a heart attack there.
It is what it is, yeah.
You leave it there till 911 calls.
Yeah.
You are not to take that person and break the circle, because that's exactly what the evil wants.
Yeah.
And they did that in my house. I was so
livid. Yeah.
Literally. And it got really ugly.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't that some of my houses were lifting some of those negative spirits that were just flying in, because the circle had been broken.
Yeah, no, I mean, at that point,
that young lady had come from a funeral parlor.
Oh, no.
She had just come from having a big battle with somebody on the street. And she walks into my house, and she walks in like, here I am. And I said, oh, no, come over here. You got to salute the altar.
Yeah, la mesa.
And she sucks her teeth, and I said, suck them again, and then I'll suck them outside by your car. Unreal. No, I'm very old school.
No, and back then, I mean, just to be invited to one back then was an honor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was different.
Well, I love misas very much. I have to watch my health and what misas I go to.
Yeah.
And instead of having misas that I've had with 40, 50 people, I want to relegate it to only small, more private misas.
Well, you're opening yourself up, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, sure.
But what I'm really dedicating myself more to now is developing all mediums.
Yeah.
Developing them in a way where I know the majority of people are not going to be developed. Very few people I know, there are some like me, but I know very few that really want to teach enough that the person becomes as independent as they are.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. It's like saying, you can't teach your ahijado everything. You can't teach them everything. I differ with that. Oh, yes, you can and you should, because they just might do it better than you.
And who's going to save us, if we don't teach them,
Yeah. I'm the old man of the group, and these are all, who better than my ahijados for me to sit there and go, okay, I'm all yours. assassinate.
So what does it take to become a disciple of Freddie? You know, is it more let's get to know each other? You know, what's that process like? Do you keep it old school? Hey, we walk it out for a time. You know, what's your process like with these new people?
Obviously, in my case, there has never been any ahijado or ahijada that has stumbled onto me by accident.
Okay.
They were all sent to me. And up to now, because I like to do guided meditations and astral projections guided,
Wow.
because that tells me a lot about them.
Yeah.
And that tells them a lot about me.
Sure. Well, you're putting your life in each other's hands with things like
Yes.
that. It's heavy.
Oh, yeah. Because once it's out that you're going to be an ahijado or an ahijada, I always look for where is the connection in the past? From what other life does this person come from?
Where you guys interacted. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And remember, this could open the door to a lot of ticklish situations because the spirit, your spirit, you and I, we're in here trapped.
Yeah.
This is a classroom.
Yeah.
Right? But it has no gender.
It's energy.
Right. So you could be looking at someone who's now a man, but in that other life you said was your mom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or your wife, or you never know.
Yeah.
Okay? And until you, or nothing, it could have been your worst enemy that you killed, or they killed you. I've had all of that rainbow of situations happen. And it's always just as traumatic, if you might want to put it that way, for me as it is for them. Because I'm not, I'm not omnipotent. You know?
Yeah.
And every medium makes mistakes.
Yeah. We're only human.
I put my foot in it, to the point where I've had to apologize.
Yeah.
Okay? But every single medium has up to 85% accuracy. The minute someone says, I'm 100% or I'm 99, or something, tell them that their nickname is not Christ.
Yeah.
Because no. We are, just like when the spirits come in the beginning, they bring their prejudices, their culture, their language, they bring in their likes, their dislikes, and it takes time for you to give enough prayer that they start waking up to the fact that, no, they are not that anymore. They'll keep that identity of their last life so that everyone knows who they are.
Yeah, you have an idea.
Yeah, but what you will do is you're going to recognize them by their vibration. Names, sick of hearing names.
Yeah, 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗃 and everybody else.
No, yeah, everybody is right. Right. No.
It's beyond that.
One of my main spirits that everybody comes to see her. She's quite famous for her mouth as well as her. And she's the one that's in charge of lifting negative. And that madama of mine will literally jump into action and really start telling a person all about that past life. And tying it in to their present life and why they're going to.
That's epic.
Another thing with having Oshuns, having been my key that unlocks, is my affinity with children.
Yeah.
And pregnant women. I can't sit next to a pregnant woman too long because I start feeling
too much. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything they're feeling, I'm gonna feel. And I've helped save many babies, I dare say. But when it comes to childbirth, when I tell a woman, careful. This and that I see, and I see the baby's going to turn at the last minute and be going the other way, like wrong way, go far, yeah. 9 times out of 10, it will happen that way. And with children, if there's a child, you don't bring a child to a misa unless you want them attended.
Of course.
Especially if it's a baby.
Yeah.
And babies, I consider anything under 7.
Yeah.
Because a child is a sinner after they're 7.
It's interesting. Ifa has the same concept. Like there's signs that say we can't do Santo or, you know, Ifa until after 7, because that's when you need to start needing the real help, you know, because that's when you start making the mistakes.
That's when you become a sinner in the eyes. This is why the children who are 7 or under can take all of 𝗿𝗲𝗋𝗲's candies and do
Yeah, cabal. No pasa nada. Yeah.
But if they're one day older than 7,
It's different.
But like another thing that I always think very long and hard about are the people whom God put me so much in their path and put them so much in my path to the point where I have some that are like family.
Yeah.
And that's the American black.
Nice.
Afro-Americans, the way it's put today, although that's not accurate either.
Yeah.
It should be if they knew exactly what country they were taken out of.
Of course.
From there. But the American black person has suffered much more in slavery than any other one of the black people who reside in Latin America.
Yeah, it was a different type of slavery. It was mental, It was emotional, it was demoralizing, it was disgusting.
Yeah, because there were hardly ever intermarriages.
Yeah.
But in South America and in the Caribbean and all that, that's a lot of what there was.
Claro.
I mean, you know, and this white skin here, that's for my daddy, that's 33%.
Yeah.
My mom, Indian, another 33%, and then I have uncles who are this color.
Oh, yeah, my great-grandfather. I'd have to show a photo
and
for
they
people
got the naps and everything. Oh, yeah. And that's another 33%.
Yeah.
So like I used to tell my students, stop calling each other these racist names because you're going to insult your teacher either way.
Yeah, we're all the same. A third of me is going to feel a type of way. Freddie, you practiced Spiritismo for so long, right? And then, you know, speaking to you now, I realize you incorporated 𝗃𝗏𝗏 into your life and you received 𝗃𝗏𝗏. What motivated you towards that, and how much of a positive effect did it have on you and your mediumship?
Well, with the hand of 𝗃𝗏𝗏, having met my padrino of Ifa, which is Pedro Peña, 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗏𝗃𝗀. It was a calling. It called me. Now, in my lifetime, I have crowned so many heads with misas of the coronación.
Yeah,
But I also would do many things that had to do with finding out el ángel de la guarda in many ways that were, I don't know anyone else who would do that.
Yeah.
Literally, eso era un baño de manteca corojo, and you know, the person had to bathe because
you start seeing those characteristics.
Yeah, I saw that, and someone would say, you know what, you were frustrated, blah, blah, blah. And as a result, when I wanted to do Santo, and I've always wanted to do Santo, 𝗃𝗏𝗏 said no.
Oh, wow.
𝗃𝗏𝗏 said no, even when they gave me my mano de rula. I remember the 3 babalaos got up, stood up, and said, we don't want a problem with 𝗃𝗏𝗏. And she said, you asked one more time. Somebody said it's going and it ain't ours.
Yeah.
So like, and my spirits said, you tienes cabeza muy grande. So like, to find the person, I don't want this to sound like I'm tuning a horn here or something.
Yeah.
No. but because it really got me sad because I really wanted to do something. I really do.
Yeah.
And my spirits have all said, nope, you've crowned too many people. You know too much. You've heard too much.
Yeah,
you've
just being in the
seen
circles.
too much. You can walk into un cuarto santo and tell them what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And also, I have a knack for telling people, in Santo, you're going to be this. You're going to do that. And then they come back and say, you were right. You know. These are just things that walk with me. I have stopped asking why.
Oh, yeah, no.
If there's anything I no longer, people tell me, well, how come? I said, I don't know.
We're just doing it. We're here.
Yep. This is like a biological movement of the body. No.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to ask. It just is.
Yeah.
So, like, you know. But witchcraft. There's two types of witchcraft. The witchcraft de los pendejitos from the botanicas. That they go and they buy all these little things and
a bunch of oils and powders.
And then they're calling up, but they're not calling up the one they got to call up.
Yeah.
Right?
They might not know.
They would not dare.
It's like they used to say, no es lo mismo llamar al diablo que verlo
Que
llegar.
verlo venir. Right. And when that man in that beautiful suit, really good-looking person comes in, you may not even know he's there.
Yeah.
But real witchcraft in my lifetime, I lifted a lot of the other brujeria barata that I call.
Yeah.
The cheap stuff.
The 99-cent stuff.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. Of that I lifted many of. And yeah, it does do harm to people, but nothing a good medium can't pick up.
Yeah, nothing nobody that's prepared couldn't handle.
However, 3 times in my life only, of all my 50-plus years in this, I've only seen real evil 3 times.
In 50 years.
And the worst one was for an 18-month little boy. You know the type of little boy that who's stocky.
Tronquito, like
Yeah.
I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When in Puerto Rico, there was this family, and they were very, very well-to-do. So, which means they were very come mierda, right? And they did not believe in this, even though they would probably run to 𝘃𝗶𝗶𝗲 and get something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
guayama.
everybody goes and visits the bruja at night.
Yeah. And they forget the really strong brujeria is not coming out of those places. It's coming out of Aguadilla.
Wow. What's the history? Why is that?
Because in Aguadilla, there is a certain barrio where all the people that live there are direct descendants of slaves.
That's interesting, because for the longest time, a lot of people were like, Puerto Rico, where?
No, they are not intermarried. They don't. You
Puro.
intermarry, you're out of there.
Oh, wow.
You chase whoever you marry when you go out.
Yeah.
And don't come back. And it's a type of barrio that as soon as the sun comes down, you better be out of there. Or you may not
Make it out of there. You won't make it till tomorrow.
Now, they're all complete African. And the people that are from those places in Puerto Rico, which is supposed to be full of brujos and all like Guayama and 𝘃𝗶𝗶𝗲, those are the ones that come over here to Aguadilla. Okay?
And you're from Aguadilla.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was in Aguadilla that I saw this. This is an 18-month-old tough little boy. And when you need a child, you're a father.
Yes, sir.
If that child has not slept in 3 days,
We got a
what
problem.
are you going to see?
Yeah.
It was black under the eyes.
Claro.
And the way he looked at me, it was like,
It's empty.
Empty. And I said, this child is possessed. So my madama, the only person that had brought me there was the maternal grandmother. Okay? Nobody else there. They were all there because, for respect of her.
Yeah.
But they didn't believe in 𝘃𝗶𝗃𝗃. So then what happened was, when my madama decided to come down there, right in the middle of that beautiful, escaped living room. She took the baby and went like this, and he was immediately asleep.
That's incredible.
She gave him to the grandmother, who was starting in tears. She told her, don't talk, just put him in the crib and have everything ready at 5:30 in the morning. He's going to jump up and scream for all his food. So have everything ready at 5:30. Everybody kept looking at each other like, well, she left them because my madama, when she works with witchcraft, she comes in and out.
Yeah.
For my safety.
Yeah.
So when I looked, and the accuracy, I looked at the baby and I just says, who gave him a recent gift, like a little pillow or something? The people in there they started to shake because the mother looked at the grandmother and says, what did I tell you? The other grandmother who never wanted her son to marry this lady.
Wow.
Had all of a sudden did the peace with them, so-called.
Yeah.
And she went and she gave the baby a nice, beautiful little pillow for his little head. I took the pillow in my hands and I went on the corner. I says, ain't nobody pushed on this? This, look, touch. And she goes, she almost dropped it. She says, there's something here. I said, you're going to have to give me permission to cut that beautiful gift. They did. I came out with another little pillow. In that pillow, there was his name, the little boy's name, a car. Now, why that car was there was most probably, that's how they wanted to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So it looks like an accident. But it was the 𝗃𝗶𝗹𝗁𝗃𝗃.
Yeah, like a chickpea.
Yeah, a chickpea. And it had the face, all done on it with magic marker or something. And it was like toothpick for the body. It was like about this. And then there were all kinds of powders and incense on it. I put it in, I said, get me un caldero, those steel ones that women use to cook.
Yeah.
And those are solid steel.
Yeah.
Or the cast iron.
Yeah. The old school ones.
Mm-hmm. Put it in there, and everyone was like, people were going in and out of the bathroom by this time.
Yeah, everyone was freaked out, yeah.
Yeah. And even I was scared. I mean, whoever tells you they don't get scared of this is lying.
We're just instruments, yeah. We don't know what's going on like that.
Because you never know what's on that other side.
Claro.
So then I tried to light it. It would not light. And I mean,
A fuego.
they put lighters in there.
Yeah.
Nothing. Finally, I feel my madama next to me, and I pick up an 𝗹𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗃. I put it all over it, and I said, step away, because 𝗹𝗶𝗶𝗃 is going to,
Yeah, you're going
I'm
to feel
sorry.
it. No, you're fine.
And that thing went boom. But the boom we heard was the big, gigantic pot split.
Wow.
But I mean, split exactly down the middle.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then my madama got the wild idea that we were going to take that to the beach. By the way, as soon as that thing split, the baby went, screamed and went right back to sleep.
Partieron la brujería ahí mismo. Yeah.
And she said, this is going to the ocean. And we live near Crash Boat, which is a very famous beach in 𝗹𝗶𝗶𝗃.
Okay.
That's where they live. We went, they took me out, and she was in and out. My mama telling me what's going to happen, that this and that. And when she got to the ocean, the edge of the ocean, she took me completely, and I didn't know that when I woke up out of it was when she threw everything deeper in, and I woke up and almost drowned.
Good Lord.
Because my madama does not care
She's
what
extreme.
she's done.
Yeah, she's going to get the job done.
She's going to get it done, even if it means her medium got drowned.
Freddie, that's an incredible story.
It's not over.
Oh, no.
When I got there back with all my seaweed and stuff on me and
Oh, God.
put my feet right into that beautiful, it was almost a white type of a floor, a carpet.
Uh-huh.
So like, it wasn't white anymore.
Claro.
But, so then my Malama talks to all of them and says, every single one of you is bound by oath to keep quiet, and no one will say anything of what happened here. But there will be something that you all will have proof of soon. In the meantime, nothing happened. My medium wasn't here. Nothing has happened. None of you were here either.
Yeah.
And not a word to the father of the baby. Because she had made sure, the wife, that he would.
Yeah.
2 days later, the stove in the house of the other grandmother blew up, taking half the kitchen and the roof with her.
Ay, mi madre.
She immediately had the house abandoned, and to this day, nobody knows where she went. I had told the lady, bring me the little boy when he's 2 weeks from now. And when she brought him, that was not the same little boy. He was healthy, all nosy.
Yeah, he was living.
But he went straight to where I had the temple. And he went straight to one place only, right to where I had the St. Michael.
Wow.
And he looked up and then came out again.
Wow.
To this day, I don't know where they moved. I know that they moved, that they left. I mean, apparently it was too much for a lot of them.
Yeah, no, it's things you can't even make up.
Yeah. And but I know in my heart that he's fine.
And obviously in a huge part to you and the Madama. And
Yeah, even if he never is told what happened,
Claro.
it doesn't matter. What matters is what did happen.
Yeah.
That's the type of real witchcraft.
Yeah, where it can cost a life.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's war for real. When I was getting started in Ifa, my padrino told me that. He said, remember that for a war to end, somebody's got to lose. So be very careful before you take a shot or return one.
Yeah. Yep.
Freddie, you just mentioned that you're about to celebrate 46 years of marriage.
Yep.
I want to definitely touch on this before we come full circle because, as a man, our other half is so important. And I want to ask you, how important has your love been as you've gone through this journey of mediumship over these past couple decades?
Without my wife, there'd be no me.
There you go.
I can only put it that way. There's so much to say that, and in the spiritual world especially, whoever your partner is, because there's all kinds of people
Yes.
that are mediums. I don't have no prejudices in me.
Claro.
But for those of us that are married, the wife is absolutely the diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And how much she backs you or how much she doesn't will be very, very instrumental in the path that any person takes. Because it could be her who's a medium and the husband is the one that's got to be backing her up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Because you give up a lot of time. The spiritual life is like having a mistress that wants it all.
Oh, man, that's funny.
And a very jealous one, too.
Yeah. The muerto wants you there.
Yes.
Ifa wants you there.
So you always have to kind of remind them, duh.
I have a life, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And your children.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of times a lot of collisions come in. Yeah. But for the most part, it's been wonderful. But there have been moments where things get really, really rough. But again, your love sustains you. And you both have to really have love for each other and respect for each other, and that's what's going to get you through it. Because working as a medium for just you, because there are people that are not called to work with the public. But you know and I know that working with the public es una jodienda. Okay, there's no other way to put it. It is like, no lube, boom, and you're sitting on it. Right. That's how it is.
Yeah.
You and I know that.
Yes, sir.
Because the public is at best two-faced.
Yeah.
And that's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
Okay? You always have your people that are good people. You always have your people that will be conscious of what it is that we do and what it takes out of us, because our health is always affected. There ain't a single trans medium I don't know that doesn't have high blood pressure.
Yeah, of course. That's
or problems with the eyesight.
Yeah.
And with the stomach,
it's taxing, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where your solar plexus is, and that's where they come through.
Yeah. Your center.
But one of the nicest things that this life has shown me is to understand why people are the way they are. Why? And how come sometimes the people you think that are the most evil, meanest of all, are the ones that are only crying out for help?
Yeah.
And why the ones that are constantly saying, oh, how good you are, how wonderful you are, and just you're my best friend. I'm there to
Son los que te están metiendo la
watch
puñalada.
your back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because, I always tell people, just treat me just like anybody else. Yeah. There were those moments when I feel when my spirits are near me, or when I'm saying something to somebody, that's a whole different ballgame. Then it's not me. That's not me speaking, that's them. I never take credit for what my spirits do.
We're just instruments.
Yep. This is why that prayer that's in la colección, la plegaria del náufrago.
Oh my God, yeah.
That is the number one prayer, and it must be read in every single misa or you're in trouble.
Sálvame entre las olas del mar.
Right.
I remember that when
now,
I was a kid, yeah.
The English version of the Allan Kardec prayer book has been assassinated. I tell everybody I know that English version of the Allan Kardec, if you have a furnace or a fireplace, use it.
Get rid of it.
But there is an author who has been able to translate that very good.
Yeah.
He's Brazilian. He's in candomblé. He's in macumba. He's in a lot of things. He's a spiritualist. And he lives in England, not in Brazil.
Wow.
He has a book that you can get on Amazon, and I hope you have it for whoever comes in here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's called 𝘂𝗍𝗲𝗄𝗎. It's in English, even though it's got a Spanish
translation. Is
because it's translated to about 70 different languages.
Yeah, of course.
And his name is Robert dos Ventos, like saying the two winds.
Yeah.
Anyone could go get it now on the Amazon.
Nice.
It's reddish. It's got a beautiful red rose on it. And very simple, red and white. But the prayers that we do in Spanish, all of them are in there in English perfectly. Plus, it's also almost like a textbook because he has how to set up a mobile. He has a lot of other things that you would expect there to be.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of books, I mean, and how could people find your literature, Freddie, or get in contact with you?
In Amazon or Author House. they can ask for Mesa Blanca,
Mm-hmm.
the White Altar.
Nice.
And the second book is Whispers from the Cave.
Nice.
I want to touch, if I have time,
Of course, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I want to touch about a topic that is very much in the news today, which are the UFOs.
Okay.
People have no idea how very, very, very close all of that is to all mediums because of the word telepathy.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been witnesses to 3 different sightings. And in each time, and everywhere you see, the minute that people are watching them too much, they pick it up. Which is why the Rosicrucians always say, thoughts have wings.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Rosacruce, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Because in the military, there are mediums that are working very strongly with their mind to ruin the computer of somebody a whole half world away.
Wow.
And it works. I had a cataleptic, not seizure, it was like a cataleptic, how do you call that? Where I would go in and out, in and out. It was almost like being hypnotized. It was announced to me by, of all things, my madama, telling my wife that on such and such a day, at such and such a time, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I had to be in Puerto Rico wrapped in a quilt because I was going to get so cold, because I was going to have a catalepsy where a voice was going to speak. Well, it turns out this voice identified himself as Arthur. He told my wife that there was no way he would be able to get me to pronounce, or they would ever pronounce the name. They mentioned very much, as always they are there, you know, the Indians of this world all have a star people story. They all identify, all of them from Patagonia to Alaska, they all identify as one thing. They are the keepers of the earth, that they are not from this planet, that they are where beyond Alpha Centauri. So this voice kept on and off every 2 hours. He would let me wake for 10 minutes so I could have coffee, hot stuff. He said, nothing cold, hot stuff. And I'd go to the bathroom, etc., and come back. And sure enough, I would go right into it again. And none of this, you know, like it was not voluntary. All of it was involuntary. And then he started making certain predictions to my wife and calling on certain people that she was to call and get them there. Almost all of them we were able to do. And it lasted till 11 o'clock at night, from 5 in the afternoon till 11. And he said, the distance is so far that the only other time that he could connect would be almost 50 years or something like that, and the time is now. So I've been waiting for it. My wife is going, no.
Good Lord.
Because it's scary.
Of course.
It is. And sometime in this decade, I know it's going to happen. Yeah.
Well, even if it's not on camera, please let me know what he says, because Lord knows we need the advice. Freddie, what an incredible conversation. 50 years of service, 50 years of stories.
Yeah. And everybody tells me wherever I go for my own readings, because I go to even my house.
Yeah.
And somebody like, let's say, I know Baba Ifa is coming to Orlando right from Cuba. He's fresh off the throne.
Yeah.
And that's the first one I want to meet.
Yeah, sure.
So it doesn't matter how long you've been or how little.
No, claro.
but I like to go for my own readings also because I need just like anybody else.
Well, the doctor can't save himself, you know.
And everywhere I go, boy, are you going to last a long time. Boy. In fact, a daughter of a shum in Miami, her name is 𝗿𝗲𝗿𝗲. She always has told me, and she's known me since 1988.
Wow.
I hope the last person that you give a reading to has their pants on right, because you're going to live into your 90s and you are going to go with the last card you throw and the last reading you do, you're going to go right there in the chair.
Well, they got to pay. They got to pay extra for that one. You know what I'm saying?
And everywhere I go, people that do not know her tell me the same thing.
Well, may it be in 100 years from now. Freddie.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was a real pleasure. I mean that. Oh, that mic.
All mine.
The may the 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲 bless you. May your spirits bless you. May your ancestors look upon you with good eyes. And I can't wait for a part two. I think that people are going to want more, especially with the Arthur segment. But exciting stuff. But thank you.
The person who did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that movie was right on it.
Really? So we'll definitely make sure everybody gets a look at it before the next one. You know what I'm saying? So they know what to expect. Here we go. Family. What an amazing conversation. To you and all of you, I want to say thank you so much for Mr. Guevara for being here and sharing his experiences over a lifetime of mediumship. Another membership program shout out I'd like to make is to my goddaughter, Miss Raquel and Janine. She is the CEO and artist behind 𝗹𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗍 Arts. So if you're interested in original pieces that can be converted into clothing, please go ahead and get in contact with her. A couple closing thoughts before we go ahead and disconnect. First and foremost, if you haven't had the opportunity, please be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. All of Freddie's contact information will be in the description, so you can get in contact with him if you desire, or obviously purchase some of his literature on Amazon. 𝗏𝗏𝗿𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏 is up and running for all services as well as products. The podcast is present on all major platforms, video and audio. The membership program is up and running, so please be sure to look into it so you can get exclusive looks and behind the scenes, whether it's from this interview or others. And a big thank you from Our Roots Podcast, and until next time, see the light.